Obviously, tough game. Give Indiana credit. I thought they really played well. Great atmosphere for a Saturday night game. Great atmosphere. So they were really obviously an energized crowd. Good team. They're playing well. We've got some things we've got to continue to get better. Questions?
What's the post-game message to the team after a game like this, where, like Zed and Sean just said, you played them even in the second half, but obviously for the last 3-4 minutes of the first half blew the game wide open. What's the post-game message after this?
It's the same as it's been. We've got to look at those 5 minutes and figure out what we need to do better. I thought shot selection wasn't great. It fed some of their transition. And I did not think that we just had good execution on either end in the last 5 minutes. And, certainly tried to stem the tide there with the timeout. Maybe could even have doubled up in the last minute there, but that's the message.
It seemed like you had a pretty good plan early against Trace Jackson Davis to get the ball out of his hands. And yet, Jalen Hood, Shafino, 6 of 7 on threes in the first half. Where was the disconnect there? Was it couldn't have always been his guy coming for the double, but what?
No, he got a couple in transition, Steve. I think you got two or three in transition. I think there was maybe 1 or 2 that was off of our post trap. The first one might have been off the post trap, but we were quicker to him in the second half for sure.
Coach, I think no Tanner in the first half, no Gene in the first half. Any the thought process behind that?
Yeah, we're just, we're trying to find a rotation, maybe a little bit shorter rotation this time of year. Both those guys I thought did good things. I thought Gene played really hard in the second half.
Bryce sitting him about 7 minutes ago. Is that just a chance to get him a bit of a breather? Were you sending a message to him?
No. Bryce did good things. He did good things. Just we're trying to get some other guys some playing. I just got to ask about Tanner and Gene, and then we're saying we're sitting Bryce. I can't play them all. We're trying to get guys playing time in those moments, and that's what happens.
The technical foul led to a 6-point possession for them, and then Sean got you right back in it with 2 plays he made, but it seemed like there was a lot of frustration that they called the offensive foul on Zed, and then Race did the exact same thing at the shove-off at their end, no call, and then a nickel-dimer on the rebound. Just what was going through your mind there? You need to let Rob know what was really happening.
That was my exact point, Steve. Yeah, it was. I thought it was the exact same call. I did not love the call on Zed to begin with, and then I thought the exact same thing happened at the other end, and they missed it. And I thought it was really inconsistent. I let Rob know that, and that's where it was at.
Both Sean and Zed talked about leadership and trying to show more leadership, and that's something you guys have talked about consistently for the last couple of weeks. When guys are talking about that, what does that mean to you? What do you need to see specifically when it comes to leadership? Can you give examples or thoughts on what is lacking from that standpoint?
I think for Zed, it's just he's got to continue to grow up in that area. He's grown in that area, but he's just got to continue to get better in that particular area. I don't want it to come off like Zed needs to grow up. I'm saying he needs to grow in that particular area. Okay. Don't write. Oh, Coach said Zed needs to grow up. I'm not saying that. He needs just to grow in an area of leadership, and I think he's it's new for him. I think Sean, I think both those guys, their voices have to be heard. Listen, leadership is a lot about what happens behind the scenes where you guys don't see it in practice every day, what their commitment is every day, how they are in the locker room, the issues they're handling this time of year in the locker room, their commitment to being an everyday guy and having an everyday approach, their commitment to the team, playing for Ohio State, and that's an everyday thing for the best ones I've been around. It's an everyday thing, and I think those guys are focused on improving in those areas.
In a couple of games in this stretch, Rutgers I think was one, Nebraska. Your team had a pretty good defensive performance in those. Tonight, 86.
Bad.
Do you feel like there's still a lot of room to grow defensively, or do you feel like at this point of the season maybe your identity is what it is?
Yeah, I thought it was our poorest defensive effort in a while. Yeah, I really did. And I did not feel like, and give Indiana credit, you know, they're obviously playing well right now, but I thought it was our poorest defensive output on the year. So we've got to be better. They're a good offensive team, and they're playing in a good rhythm right now, but the end of the first half was really just too much.
I mean, are there things that you can pull from some of those other games that you felt like were better on that end that you can pull and maybe show and say, I've seen this already. We can do this level of defense.
Yeah, I mean, so much different teams. I get your point. They're just a lot different teams than what you face with these guys tonight. You know, I thought Shafino's ability to really make threes was significant and kind of opened things up. But you know, we'll go back and look at it. You know, yeah, there were just too many errors, and we didn't rebound the ball at the level we needed to.
You mentioned that run at the end of the first half. It was pretty back and forth until kind of that final 3 minutes. Just what changed in those final minutes?
You know, I think some of our poor offensive possessions led to transition. It's kind of the bottom line. I mean, you know, based off of just the naked eye, we just too many poor offensive possessions. We really did not play nearly intentional enough at that point in terms of getting to the line. They were in the double bonus. We missed some free throws, but we settled for too many jumpers, and that was not good on our part.
The way the second half started, with the thing falling from the scoreboard, what were those conversations like? Were you at all concerned about continuing the game?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I was. I mean, they said it weighed about 10 to 15 pounds. It fell approximately 7 feet from Bryce.
Mm-hmm.
It would have significantly injured Bryce had it connected. Thank God it didn't. Yeah, I was concerned about resuming play. Obviously, I wanted the game to resume. I wasn't sure I wanted the game to resume. You know, under these circumstances, obviously it ended up fine, but that would have been a significant thing, and thank God that it did not injure Bryce or any other player for that matter. You know, we can thank God for that, because we would have.
What assurances or conversations did you get that said that it was safe to play?
You know, I made sure multiple times. I told the officials I was concerned about resuming. I wanted the game to resume. Obviously, I'm not saying, hey, down 16, we want to call the game. I wanted the game to resume. I was concerned about resuming it without them, you know, going up and taking a look at it, or pulling it down and taking a look at it and determining that it was fully functional, and that there were going to be no other issues with it. So, you know, obviously their maintenance, or their staff, their game day staff, felt like it was fine, but it was a significant concern, especially once I was, you know, what was described to me, what it looked like and felt like.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.